7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. Stand by.
How about that?
We are live and interactive. Unless you're listening to us or watching us not live, but whatever for the live audience, welcome aboard. Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, airing all over America on WQVZ. Later on, Silver State Sports in Nevada. You know all that. It's a very special hour one because it's just me, the Larry King of sports. Hello! Jessica and Wayburn, you're on the air. Hello. I got a lot to get to today. And then in hour two, another big treat for you. Scott Belford will be joining us. He is a stand-up comic, but also the host of the Walk Off podcast. And I don't know, baseball's on my mind. Football's never very far from my mind. Hockey too, which actually leads into our big story, the number one topic of the day. But I'll just say this, Scott Belford, we will normally talk, and we will talk mostly with baseball with him with the trade deadline coming up August 3rd. Not a lot of Blue Jays, I don't think, because it's very depressing. Well, some Blue Jays, but not the majority of our talk. And then in stand-up comedy, I just love chatting with people that, frankly, are multidimensional, and Scott Belford is that stand-up comic. I'm just fascinated with that trade, so it's always fun when he comes on. But it's just you and me in hour one. 902-518-3033 is the text line. It's brought to you by our friends at Western Dodge. Please, please, please support our sponsors like Western Dodge. Drive with confidence. Western Dodge Moose Jaw financing, selection, and service you can count on. Looks like we'll be doing a live show there on Friday with NFL, CFL alum Scott Schultz. That's going to be big fun. But the big story is this. Open lines. I've had all morning today to prepare for what you all will want to talk about, unless it's soccer. But fire it my way. And as my good friend MK, who's probably watching right now in West Palm Beach because she was flying home from Montana today, she says, she's originally from Ottawa. She says, your show is the best of Canada. It's what's the best of Canada. And I said, MK, I could not agree more. So of all these things, this opening segment, as you know, just goes breakneck fast of the warm-up, which is brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel. But if you want to talk CFL now and through the majority of hour one, I'm more than happy to do that because it is week 8. Our poll question today is the one we do every Wednesday for the 6 months of CFL season, and that is, what is Canada's game of the week? Spoiler alert. Running away with a vote is Edmonton versus Saskatchewan on Thursday night. And so there's that. Another one, frankly, is broadcast layoffs. And I guess what really all this opening segment is just adding up to be is me teeing up the next 52 minutes after this first break. Because here's my questions to you. You can answer them via the text line or the YouTube chat or how we don't actually take calls here because I don't have a death wish. I'm not interested in doing that anymore. Took years off my life when I did it. But you can write in. Do you really care about these broadcast layoffs and what's going on in the broadcast industry? Or is it just that my timeline is filled with people in the broadcast industry that are complaining and whining and moaning about all the people that lost their jobs? Now, sympathy and empathy to them. Been there. I do feel bad for the people that are losing their jobs. But as Chow said in Hangover 2, but did you die? Well, let's get real about it for a second. And but some big names. Tom Pelissero, you'll miss him on NFL Network. If you watch Sunday Night Baseball or what's now Monday Night Baseball for MLB, Carl Ravitch, he's gone. Fans of these guys will miss them, but they're going to move on. Because I'll be honest, I could sit here and talk about this all day if you'd like to. I know that you love the broadcasters. You welcome us into your home and into your vehicles and into your tractor and on your boat and into the gym and wherever you may be, into your workplace. So if you want to talk about it, I'm cool with that. Like, for instance, Pat McAfee is getting raked over the coals. He's going to make $60 million next year, and it's like, why? Now he's forced to defend himself because he's making all the money and everybody's getting laid off around him. And I'm sure he does feel bad because I think Pat McAfee is a decent guy. As you recall, maybe you don't, him and I had a little set to pre-COVID, which is totally fine. It was just a professional spat. But I'll be honest, Blue Jays, we're going to get into them after the break. There's some NHL news, of course, with Jason Robertson. I'm also started watching the Hulk Hogan documentary, and man, oh man, 4 episodes of it. I'm 2 episodes in. His first wife isn't afraid to just lay it all on the line and just say it the way it is. My kind of people, I feel like the Hogan family. What are you watching? Have you seen that? Because that's really good. But I got a list of notes here. I could sit here and talk for at least 1 hour on my own. I'm a veteran trained broadcaster and would make it very entertaining for you. But it's a lot easier for me when you write in with the topics with what you would like to talk about. But I don't mind saying this. It's the broadcast executives that ruin it. How many times the suits always ruin it. They always ruin a good thing because today's suits don't know what they're doing. Back in the day, they did. Saturday night, I spent a night with the Hall of Fame radio guys. Those guys knew what they were doing when they ran that radio station. And women, by the way. Karen Broderick, our former station manager, was the only woman to go in as a CKRM icon. But I'll give you an example. I think I've said this on this show before, but I'll say it again. Doug McLean, who's part of that really wonderful hockey community in South Florida. We stood in the street in front of Podcast Junkie Studios, and he just said, Rod, the way he talks, he is a beauty. Rogers, they were paying me $500,000 a year. I would have done it for $200,000. They just blow money. They're paying Kepper $1 million. He didn't need to make that much. He's not wrong. You going to give $60 million to Pat McAfee for something he would do for 1/10 of that? I'm sure he would do it for 1/10 of that. They're numpties. That's why. So when you look at the locally owned, locally operated broadcast outfits, they're the ones that are they thriving? They're staying on the air. They're making a living. But they're just not blowing money and all these fat cats at the top. I don't see them getting laid off. Have you noticed that? It's always X amount of on-air people and then behind-the-scenes people you've never heard of who are just as important, but it's never the people at the top. Have you noticed? I said when I come back, I want to come back as a radio manager because they don't do anything and they never get fired. That's the job that I want. Now, you're having a tough time not laughing at that, producer Corey. I could hear. 902-5... You already laughed. 902-518-3033. It's all good. We kind of figured it out here. I knew it. I'll talk about the vision that I had for this show and digital media years ago because it's been a long wait, baby. It's been a long wait. By the way, waiting for everybody to catch up. Score a touchdown in the Caribbean. Join CFL legends Adam Bighill, Jake Ceresna, Willie Jefferson on the cruise of a lifetime for CFL fans departing out of the port of Fort Lauderdale February 20th. Prices from $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Travel. It's Neil, Neal, at uniglobecarefree.ca. So that's the opener. A lot of topics on the table there. We'll get to them all when we come back here on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca. Or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
In today's fast-paced world, we know you don't always have time to cook a nutritious meal. The Mad Greek in Moose Jaw's got you covered with delicious takeout and delivery specials, even for large groups or occasions. Authentic Greek cuisine, pizza, ribs, and more. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Offering licensed dining, delivery, and their takeout window is open to get your Greek to go. For more information and to view the online menu, visit themadgreekeatery.com.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Loving it. And the streaming audience hearing Moose's dulcet tones speaking for the Mad Greek. From classic to loaded, pizza night begins at the Mad Greek Eatery. Please support our sponsors. Did I mention that? That's what keeps us on the air. I said from the audience, I want to hear from you. Noni in Calgary, hello. She says, morning, Rod. I've missed watching your show for over a week, but glad to tune in today to hear your thoughts on sports. I'll be at the Rider game Thursday night and thinking Edmonton will win just because of the cloud hanging over the Rider Nation, but hoping for a good game. It's hard to cheer for the Jays these days, but I will not be a bandwagon jumper. This season may not go the way we wanted to, and if there's no reason next year with a strike/lockout that they can reset. Have a great day and show. Thank you, Noni, for tuning in. Glad to have you back. Well, speaking of that, Kirk in Toronto writes in, says, hey, Rod, only in Toronto where you have a last-place baseball team, last in all categories and stats, and still pack the dome. I think that's all about to change. I mean, I guess. That's actually, are you reading my diary, Kirk, in Toronto? Let me just read what I have in the script here. It's point 2, Toronto Blue Jays. Kevin Gausman hopes that wasn't his final time pitching for the Blue Jays. He pitched 3 1/3, allowing 5 runs on 9 hits and 2 walks as Toronto fell to the Tampa Bay Rays 12-2 Tuesday. So I watched the game. We were off with the Moose Jaw Miller baseball team. It's just bad. Every time that I tune in the Blue Jays, it's bad. I saw somebody put on Twitter that this team has lost its confidence. That's why I asked yesterday if you think John Schneider should be fired, because you're not going to get ready, Vladdy. You're not going to get ready your stars, George Springer. You just signed the GM and the president to brand new contract extensions. Wait, nice thinking there. And the president never fires himself. So who's left? Something needs to happen. So, yes, well, it's a downer. And as I put in my commentary today, it's not the good, the great, and the ugly time. Let's chins up. No, I'm not on the Blue Jays team. Hard for them to keep their chin up, I guess. And as far as them packing the dome, I don't blame people for being upset. Trust me, I get it. And then I had Rogers posted a loss in Q2. What I say, the suits always ruin it. So 40,000 plus have showed up every game this week. Why is that? Because they bought the tickets. I think we all know how it works. You make it a trip to Toronto, got to go to a Jays game, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Moose not going to Jays games anymore. He and his wife had season tickets, and they couldn't. Well, they're busy, for one. But two, it's $100 minimum a game to go to a Blue Jay. Worst seats in the house, $100. Because why? They went to Game 7 of the World Series. One thing about Rogers, they're good at gouging. That's the new sports business people. I don't think anybody They're not regretting that, which, speaking of all of this, I mean, the ticket prices will drop. Miami Marlins, you can get in for $9. We love it. Kirk in Toronto was complaining about that earlier. I don't care. I can go park for $20 right beside Lone Depot Park with my buddy Chris from the Bronx. Walk right in and have an entire section to ourselves and no lineups at the concessions. It's great. So what do you want? A winning team or cheap tickets? Because a winning team comes with very expensive tickets and crowds and lineups, and don't get me started. John in Toronto writes in and he says, go to the Argos. Affordable. John, we get it. They don't. It's different. I don't understand the Toronto mentality, and I never will. But no, it's not the thing to do. My good friends that come from Toronto, like two of my closest friends, Rider alumni, Luke Mullender and Mike Abu-Meshrik, say that the Toronto thing is what's the thing to do? The thing to do is to go to the Blue Jays and Leafs and spend way more money than it's worth. I don't get it. That's not the way that we were raised in Western Canada. So I'm not admonishing them. I just don't understand the thinking. Carlos in Indiana says $100 for nosebleed baseball. That's what I said, brah. And by the way, those tickets for the Marlins are $9 down the third base line. They're great seats for $9. Again, if you want a winning team, you're not going to have cheap tickets. Do the math. Read my lips. Utah Darren wrote it. I'm digging to find it. He had the good comment here. He goes, Pat McAfee, I'm sure feels bad about layoffs, but he isn't dumb. You want to give me $60 million? Okay, sure. Right, that gets... I think we would all do exactly what Pat McAfee's doing if we were in his shoes. I don't hold that against him at all. Tom Pelissero, Carl Ravitch, and I'm going to put Linda Cohn in that group. They announced her retirement last week, and less than a week later, she starts a podcast. I mean, trust me, I get it. Trust me, I understand. Like, Linda Cohn is an icon with ESPN, but wait like a month to start your podcast. It just shows that you weren't retired. You got whacked. Scott in Vancouver says, I wonder if Pelissero will still be on the NFL Network. This is the point, and I'm ready to move on, although I did ask you what you wanted to talk about. So they're getting laid off because ESPN now owns the NFL Network. That's the point. Do you guys understand? This is why I'm saying it's terrible for one company in Toronto to own all the teams. It's terrible in Calgary for one company to own all the teams. It's terrible because jobs are lost. This is what happens. Like, please tell me you know this. The NFL bought 10% of the ESPN, and that includes NFL Network. Jobs lost. Tom Pelissero will not be on the NFL Network. He got fired. They're the same company now. But I'm not, I follow this because I'm in the industry. I know how it works, I guess. No, there is no dumb questions. There are no dumb questions. I'll try and answer them as we go here, but I would also really like to talk about sports. Argo Bill, I guess it is sports. Argo Bill says, good morning, crew. It's a great day to be outside working in the garden. By the way, Argo Bill, I was talking to my crew in South Florida. Not going to name them because they're probably watching today. Very big CFL fans there. And they said, my friends in South Florida, huge CFL fans, some of it's worked in the CFL. Actually, all of them. Now that I think about the ones that I've been talking to, they wonder if the Argos can overcome this stretch. They said the World Cup killed the Argos. And I'm like, you know what? And they're all Eastern Canadians, by the way, and we get along great. Wild. I don't know. How do we feel about that? I'm just not big on excuses at all. I would suggest one of them is an Argo fan, the guy that I was talking to that said that. He's willing to give his team a break. What are they, 2-4, the Argos? And they're going into BC this week? He's a fan of the Argos, and he's willing. I don't buy any excuses from my team at all, ever. Win or somebody needs to be fired. That's me as a fan. Dallas Cowboys, Regina Pats, the teams that I love. Blue Jays. I don't know John Schneider. If this team's lost his confidence and are sleepwalking, fire the manager. Let's go. What are we waiting for? Scott in Vancouver says, sorry, Rod, I didn't realize ESPN bought the NFL network. Well, the NFL purchased 10% of ESPN. And the second that happened, I'll put myself in the old crony category of the Dan Patricks and the Mike Florios, guys that have been around for a long time and saw how it used to be, where the leagues and the broadcast entities were separate, so you could at least say what you wanted without fear of having your head cut off. Now they're the same company. You say something they don't like, your head gets cut off. And that's, frankly, this is kind of why I'm sitting here saying, I said earlier that I would say what I saw coming, like way, way, way back when I started rodpedersen.com, which was now over 20 years ago. I wasn't the first guy doing digital media, but I was one of the first, and one of the first doing it with success. And I realized that when people wrote in and said outlandish things, people would say, like in the comment section at rodpedersen.com, to my columns, people would say, oh, you could be liable for that. Talk to my lawyer, the great William Howe, my personal attorney. And he goes, no, you can't be held liable for anything that your writers or that your commenters and readers say. You could be held liable if you said it, but you can't be held liable for what they say. That was 20 years ago. And now I look at the Facebook page, for instance, Noni brought up the Rough Riders game. Man, this is going smooth today, isn't it? Funny how we can bring everybody together and talk about one thing over morning coffee. I see the Rough Riders are going to honor both victims of the fatal crash Saturday night at the football game. That I saw it on Facebook, where we get our news, or at least I do. And what do? Go immediately into the comments to see what they're saying. And frankly, it was 100% in support of the Rough Riders for doing that. But my point is, after games, when you go and look at the team's social media, of all teams, all sports, you go and see what the fans are saying, it's the most horrible stuff. You wouldn't think that it would be legal, but it is. Teams can't be held liable for what people say in the comments section. I can't be held liable for what you say in the chat or what you write into rodpedersen.com about. I learned that long ago, and then I think the teams just figured it out a few years ago. Eric writes in from Virginia. He says, Carl Ravitch was an old school broadcaster, real suit and tie guy. Old school. I like it. Solid point on business / teams owning everything. # not good. That's all that I'm saying is that's where we're at. I'm shocked that the fans don't see it. But that's what I'm here for today and every day at your service. Oh, and that reminds me, as we're sitting up here talking about this stuff, this is why I'm posting clips to my Cats and Bolts Florida NHL podcast, Florida's most watched hockey show. And there's a clip that go follow it on Instagram and Twitter. Cats and Bolts, all one word, Cats and the letter N, Bolts. And Bill Lindsay explains Vincent Viola's concept of serviceable leadership. Not every team is screwed up. The Panthers aren't, but a lot are. Anyways, 902-518-3033. I'll just say this because I don't know where else I would slip it in, but the hockey community in Florida is so unbelievably amazing. It's really small, but it's unreal. There's a bigger hockey community of hockey people in Weyburn than South Florida, but they welcomed me into it 6 seasons ago, and I love those guys so much, and gals. Rob writes in from Windthorst, 902-518-3033, says a sweep by either the Riders or the Elkamos over the next 2 weeks could go a long way to determine first in the West already. It will be a somber night, but expect an exciting game. Thank you for getting me on track, Rob, in that the game of the week is what we do every Wednesday, Canada's game of the week. Do I need to talk about the other games? Running away with it. Even fans of other teams understand it's Thursday night at Mosaic Stadium, Edmonton at Saskatchewan. Yes, best 2 records in the division on the line. The heavy hearts of the people that were killed in the car crash Saturday, how do they honor them? The other games are Friday, Calgary at Winnipeg, Saturday, the Braley Bowl, Toronto at BC, and Sunday, Hamilton at Montreal. But Rob makes that point. And to be honest, I just, you know me, one day at a time here. Hadn't stopped to think about where the riders' heads would be Thursday for that game, but they've been in a traumatic situation. I mean, now that I've learned about it and have a certification in it, your mind does not work properly when you are suffering from trauma. That's just a life thing. For instance, when a team sees a player get hurt on the field of play, we've had, Damar Hamlin with the Buffalo Bills when his heart stopped on the field. His teammates couldn't play. That was a traumatic event. He temporarily died. They never finished the game. Here for the Rough Ride, it's callous to say, but they're still going to play the game. I'll probably end up, by the time my finger hovers over what the picks are, I'll pick Edmonton for that reason. Not to mention, don't think Cody Fajardo doesn't come in here with a chip on his shoulder every single time. Come on. Wilf and Steinbach, hang on. We're coming to you. Wilf and Steinbach, hello. 902-518-3033 is the text line. The YouTube chat, we're rocking and rolling today. Game Plus streaming, podcast, and WQVZ radio.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
In today's fast-paced world, we know you don't always have time to cook a nutritious meal. The Mad Greek in Moose Jaw's got you covered with delicious takeout and delivery specials, even for large groups or occasions. Authentic Greek cuisine, pizza, ribs, and more. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Offering licensed dining, delivery, and their takeout window is open to get your Greek to go. For more information and to view the online menu, visit themadgreekeatery.com.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I feel like Scruffy's with us, or Kevin that says like we're running out of time. We don't have enough time. We've got a lot of time. Woosah. 30 minutes left in this hour, then an hour two when we go to air in Las Vegas. And I mean, let's just be honest about this for a second. A kid from Milestone, Saskatchewan. Thank you, producer Corey, for making this happen. Having a show on primetime television in Las Vegas every single night. It's just friggin' wild. I won't look back and realize it till years later, as they say. 902-518-3033. All kinds of topics on the table. The Blue Jays suck. We know that. We'll be talking way more baseball next hour. Wilf in Steinbach writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, hey, Rod, hard to watch the Jays self-destruct. Reset for 2027. Yeah, I guess. That's why we've got Scott Belfry coming on next hour, the host of the Walk-Off podcast, because I don't know what they need. I mean, they were obviously playing out of their skis last year, but I think Kevin Gausman's going to be moved, I guess, ahead of the trade deadline, which sucks, but he's winless in 10. I don't need to name names with people that are not playing up to their capabilities. But you're right. You guys watch the games every day. I kind of wish that I had the time to, like I'm doing my own baseball at night and stuff. But when I sit down, the Jays are bad. And it's really only one guy that can walk the plank. On the ownership, Wayne in BC says most fans are happy if their team is owned by a rich person or a conglomerate. But it's not good for most people, especially employees of said conglomerate. That's all. I mean, it's really starting to become clear for me, even more clear, why I'm in such a great position here. Because I'll tell you this, with the Rough Riders, there's nothing. They're like every other team. Every other team. Right near the end of my time, I would be sat down and told what to say on the air every day. And I'm like, the worst was at a camp we had in Florida, where we had three former fairly big-name quarterback, NFL, one was quarterback, two other guys were defensive players in a camp, and I wasn't allowed to say it on the air that they were there. Like, why not? Just don't do it. And then I was ranking myself who the best quarterbacks were in the camp, and I was told, don't do that. The fans want to know. Doesn't matter. Don't say it. If I could have taken my headphones off at that time and just given them to the person talking to me, I would have, because I'm like, this isn't any fun. And it didn't get any better. And again, it's not a Rough Rider thing. Every team's like that. But see you, boys. I was the original writer at CFL.ca, original writer at Riderville.com. And it used to be, I would write it, they would check for spelling errors and then put it on the site. 15 years later, it would go through three people. By the time it got posted, it didn't even look like anything that I'd written. I'm like, I don't want to do this. This ain't fun. So I guess, what did Don Cherry say when he got let go? He was given the opportunity to apologize at Sportsnet, and he's like, I'm done. If they want a robot, that's not me. And it's the same thing for me. If these guys want to, and girls want to go on the air and say what they're told to say and write what they, go ahead. It's not what I want to do. 902-518-3033. Jason and Red Deer wrote in way back. He jumped into the chat, jumped into the pool. Hooray! He goes, hey, happy Wing Wednesday. He says, what's everybody's favorite wings? Can I just tell you a story? This is what I do like, by the way. Obviously, I'm broadcasting baseball now. That's different than the other stuff that I just referred to. We have a young gal, Michaela. She's the what do they call it? In-stadium announcer, Michaela. I love her. Her summer job, because she's a nurse by trade, but she's in nursing school, and she works at Deja Vu, which is the greatest wing place in the world. So she comes up and sits down beside me a lot of times before the games, and I'm like, what's happening at Deja Vu today, Michaela? I said, just the other day, I said, thanks for asking what my favorite wings are, which she didn't ask, but I said I split the order. Maple bacon ranch and honey mustard. Half and half. My God. When I say it's heaven in your mouth. Maple bacon ranch and honey mustard. David number 1 in Winnipeg says it seems like TSN and CFL doesn't do that proofreading before posting things lately, always catching boo-boos. That's another topic for another time. I'm just used to that. Let it go. We would have had our hands whacked by our grade 1 teacher or a boss that actually cared about grammar. They don't care anymore. I let that go a long time ago. Not everybody, but people are talking about just the latest on the Jaden Dalkey situation. And apologies, I wrote this down so that I didn't screw up the other victim's name of the crash. Bhishma Rajaguru said this yesterday with Scruffy. If it was up to me, I would just put both their images on the big screen, ask for a moment of silence, and kick the game off. That's just me. I don't know how they're going to handle this. There's no handbook for this. The Rough Riders player coming back from a bye week, going the wrong way down the highway, 30 minutes after doing a dine and dash in terms of gasoline, gets in a head-on collision, kills the other driver and himself. So where we're all at here, it's people of a certain age, Wayne in BC, Noni in Calgary. You'll get this. This is the most. I'm not joking. I don't say it, obviously, no, say it facetiously at all. This is the most eagerly awaited news. I'm saying it's dead serious as the Colin Thatcher trial verdict in 1984, 1985. The federal politician who was accused of murdering his wife, found guilty of that, went to jail for 25 years. I'll never remember. We're all crowded around the radio in the farmhouse kitchen. Jim Smully reporting from the courthouse. Colin Thatcher found guilty of first-degree murder, sentenced to 25 years in jail. This is eagerly anticipated, the toxicology report of Jaden Dalkey. And what a lot of people are saying is, what difference is it really going to make? But I was talking to a football guy today in the States this morning who used to coach here. He's not here now. And I just said, there's one thing about this province, man, that don't fly is the drinking and driving thing. This ain't going to be good if it's what we think it could be, but we don't know. So everybody's just waiting with bated breath on what the report of the toxicology is. So that's where we're at in that. I believe it's the most anticipated news from the RCMP or the court system since the Thatcher trial. Okay, you started something, Jason and Red Deer. Hats off to you. See you, boys. You guys have a great day. Those young hockey players that I love so much. It's my mom's best friend. My mom passed away in 2019. My very best friend, Bev, we're having lunch last Saturday. She's like, you can talk to the young people just like your dad could. How is that? I'm like, I have no idea. As you see, I don't even approach them. They come to me. I don't know why. But I love them, as did my dad. Those kids just stopped. See ya, Rod. I don't even know their names. John in Winnipeg says Colin Thatcher was sensational, way more than this recent event, Rod, in my opinion. Yeah, well, you're not here, John. You're not here. Try being here. Jason says, so you get maple bacon ranch and honey mustard and then you mix them? No, I keep them separate. They can't touch. What are you, a savage? No, they're on separate sides of the plate with fries in the middle. Are you kidding? Right. Producer Corey says England would never merge with France. Utah Darren, and I appreciate you down there in Salt Lake City caring about this situation. But he says, it doesn't matter how you handle this for the riders. Some are going to be upset. Try to be respectful and move on. But they won't be, and that's where I'm just put on my recovery account the other day. I said, thank you, God, for the problems I don't have in every regard. And, another is, I'm just going to have to pause. Yeah, in 1 minute, we're going to take a break here. But back in the day, I will tell you right now, I was part of those discussions sitting around the boardroom in Taylor Field and later their business office at Albert and Dewdney with Jim Hobson and Steve Mazurek and a few other people sitting around going, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to frame this? And as I said in my commentary today, we never went through anything as bad as this. And there was, as far as I knew, there was no handbook in the desk left by the regime before. I'm pretty sure Hoppy never left a handbook behind. We'll be right back. 902-518-3033. This is why you love the sports talk, because we say whatever we want, and it ain't bad. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Right back at it. Just paused for the cause, which reminds me from the text line, Kirk in Toronto writes in, by the end of the summer, I hope to have this laptop figured out. Kirk says, a new commercial on the RP show. How refreshing, and with the moose to boot. I will be heading to my favorite Greek diner in East Toronto today. All because of that. Advertising works. Again, please support our sponsors. Noni writes in. She says, Rod, I laughed out loud with your wing comment about them not touching. Keep being you. That's why the young people can relate to you. Being goofy? What do they say? Growing old is inevitable. Growing up is a choice. I have grown up, though, Noni. You should have seen me before. Vintage Sasko writes in 902-518-3033, formerly known as Fake Gainer, says, "Hi, Father Rodney. I heard a minor ball coach forgot 9 kids at Rogers Center the other night. They ended up beating the Blue Jays 12-0 in a scrimmage." Woof. That's where we're at with the Toronto Blue Jays, everybody. It's sad to watch. I actually saw a lady say, put on social media the other day that the Blue Jays were unwatchable, and I thought, well, that's harsh. Last 2 nights I've watched, I'm like, she ain't wrong. Yeah, for those that are watching on the live stream, thank you, Scott in Vancouver, for pointing that out. Hit the likes. It helps us out a lot. Here's another one for you. Happy anniversary of the Matthew Tkachuk trade for those who celebrate. 4 years ago today, it was a literal where were you moment. I was in Calgary, spending my summer in Calgary, July 22nd, 2022. I was at a gas station getting gasoline, listening to Fan 960, and they announced live on there that the trade had been made. Had the radio on. Oh, my God. I have a good friend, Kelly, and I do really appreciate this because my Florida people are literally, when are you coming home? It's pretty, it feels good, I'm not going to lie. She wrote me on the Cats and Bolts account today, and she goes, my daughter cried for days because her best favorite player was Mackenzie Weegar of the Panthers, and her daughter, Charlie, liked Jonathan Huberdeau. So I'm just saying today, happy anniversary of the Matthew Tkachuk trade, the greatest trade in Florida Panthers history, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, every year, and man, are these years going by fast, we talk about it and say, was this the most lopsided? Was this the most won trade in NHL history? And they bring up various other trades. Russ Courtnall for John Kordic. That was one right in the 80s with the Leafs. Barry Pedersen for whomever. Cam Neely. Yeah, in the 80s. Also Vancouver and Boston. But those teams didn't go on to win Stanley Cups like the Panthers have. Oh, my God. I don't think they're celebrating this in Calgary today. That is for darn sure. David number 1 writes in and says, condolences, Vintage Sasko, on your Twitter ban. Literally, what do you have to do to get banned on Twitter? I can proudly say that I've never been suspended on anything for social media, ever. Reminds me of Greg's on. And I'm speaking of my misspent younger days. Not shocking that him and I were hip to hip back in the day. And it was like the Monday or Tuesday after Grey Cup in 2013. RCMP report comes out, or whatever, city police, whatever. All the citations that came out after the Grey Cup parade. Some guy was arrested for being drunk in public. I was with Zahn. We were at Earl's. For those that don't know, Blue Jays great catcher, World Series champion with the Marlins. He goes, deadpan, look at me right now. How drunk do you have to be to get arrested for being drunk in Grey Cup? At a place where everybody's drunk. Yeah, producer Corey said, in the Queen City, yes. Right? Thank you, God, for the problems I don't have. Mikey in Winnipeg says, Timu Jets trade was awful. Right? And in every case, Timu wasn't going to re-sign with the Jets, just like Tkachuk wasn't going to re-sign with the Flames. So, yeah, in Calgary, they don't want to remember this day 4 years ago. Maybe we need to push this over into hour 2, but, hey, just started watching the Hulk Hogan documentary last night with Joe. It's great. I always loved Hulk Hogan, but the star of the show is his first wife, and I can't even remember her name. Brenda? Terry? No, his name's Terry. Whatever, his first wife. She is the star of the show. That's all I'll say about the Hulk Hogan documentary well, and I mean, we all love Mean Gene. But he dead. They weren't interviewing Mean Gene. 902-518-3033. Jason in Red Deer says the Cats definitely won that trade. Huberdeau sucks, and Weegar had no support and is now gone. I'll be. Can I say it now? I was sitting with Bruce Urban in his office at Western RV in just north of Calgary, the former owner of the Saskatchewan Rush. I love that guy, man. I love that guy. When they won their third championship with the Rush, he texted me from the floor of SaskTel Center with the trophy. He said, "Get down here." I'm like, "No. You guys won it. It's your trophy, but thanks, Bruce." That's how we get along, and we were after this trade. Huberdeau has been in shell shock ever since July 22nd, 2024. Can you imagine being in trauma? And I don't even say that facetiously. Since July 22nd, 2022. Have you been to South Florida? I'll never forget Bruce saying this. He's like, every time Huberdeau is driving down McLeod Trail South at minus 37, looking out a little pee hole out of his window. Damn Bill Zito. There were nights after that trade that I was in Calgary watching the Flames, having to check the score sheet after to see if Huberdeau had played. And he left Florida as the franchise's all-time leading scorer, leader in games played. Now he's way down that list. I just think it broke his heart. Has not been the same player ever since he left Florida. And I don't ever want to leave either. It's for some of us. It's not for everybody. Mike in Winnipeg at Ice Time Sports says, Linda Hogan. Jeff the Stamps fan says, Linda, thank you. Did you guys see the documentary? Like, to be honest, what was coming out of her mouth? I hope your kids aren't watching. Which inevitably they will. Oh, man, what a time to be alive. Which is, actually, I have this written down too. We were talking earlier about the ESPN layoffs. If you can believe there were people at Fox, presumably Fox Sports 1, or just Fox overall, that were laughing and celebrating and going to social media to celebrate the people at ESPN losing their job. And people had to go online and discipline them and say, a note to young broadcasters, because it was young people. Number one, celebrating your competitor's demise is just karma. It's just bad karma. And number two, it's a jerk thing to do. Is that where we are at in society right now? These guys get laid off, and I'm assuming some gals too. I'm putting Linda Cohn in this group. Sorry, listen. When I stepped down, we said I stepped down. I was fired. Doesn't matter now, 7 years later. Just say what it is. And the competitors are laughing. I'm pretty sure the people across the street at our competitor, and they should have been, were celebrating. As in fact, I heard they were the day that I was fired. But don't go public with it. Like it would be nice if you didn't at all, but taking to social media to celebrate it? What is wrong with you? 902-518-3033. Again, Linda Hogan, the star of the Hulk Hogan documentary. Jeff the Stamps fan says, oh, you guys are having your own little chat. Can I join? Mike in Winnipeg says, I'm not well, Mike in Winnipeg says, I love the documentary. Jeff the Stamps fan says, I'm not sure I liked it. It paints Hogan too good. That's obviously a matter of opinion, because they really made Ultimate Warrior look like a complete dork in the show, and they said he was not popular. Ultimate Warrior was one of my favorite wrestlers in the 80s. One of my favorite wrestlers. What do you mean? I guess he wasn't good. I'm not a wrestling aficionado. I loved him. This beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Utah Darren says, if they work for Fox, they can't help but be classless. I don't know enough about that other than to say that I don't even know who they are. That's probably why they're there. I get the sense that's what you're saying. I don't even know who these people are. I knew who Ryan Clark is. I wasn't a fan, but I don't like to see somebody lose their job. Carl Ravitch is just, what a career that guy's had. You know? Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. It's got me through a lot of tough times. I see that, Jason. Oh, we'll be right back with hour 2 coming up, everybody. I I guess we can squeeze a few more in. Jason in Red Deer says, just finished watching the new Will Ferrell golf series, Hawk. And I have to say, it's not horrible. Well, Zig Fracassi taking to Twitter last week saying that Will Ferrell's never been funny. I'm like, I think his bank account says otherwise. Zig, but again, we not necessarily all going to agree on these things. As I say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and that's what's fun about having the debates. Thank you, David. He says, it's been a good first hour. Can't wait to hear hour two. We may stay on track, maybe not. No promises. Scott Belford, the Belf, stand-up comic and host of the Walk-Off podcast, joining us in advance of the MLB trade deadline. We'll be back after this timeout on the RP Show.
In today's fast-paced world, we know you don't always have time to cook a nutritious meal. The Mad Greek in Moose Jaw's got you covered with delicious takeout and delivery specials, even for large groups or occasions. Authentic Greek cuisine, pizza, ribs, and more. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Offering licensed dining, delivery, and their takeout window is open to get your Greek to go. For more information and to view the online menu, visit themadgreekeatery.com.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Prediction. It's going to be a very fun hour on the RP Show. Welcome, everybody. to Silver State Sports as we welcome viewers across Nevada, specifically in Las Vegas. We keep rolling. It's hour 2 on Game Plus streaming podcast and WQBZ Radio, 1700 AM down there in the U.S. South. RP here. Coming up, we're going to be talking a lot of baseball. Scott Belford joining us from the Walk Off podcast. He's also a stand-up comedian. We bring him on about once a month. I'd like to bring him on more, but he's a busy guy. He's always entertaining, and I'll tell you right now, but people are saying, I'm seeing it everywhere, this is the slowest time in sports. That's a you problem if you're, for whatever reason, bored right now. Yeah, I get it. They're saying dog days of summer and all of that, but again, it's like the people that are retired. I'm bored. That is a you problem. Let's go. I'll tell you that our warm-up is brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show and the CFL's BC Lions. And our guest spot is brought to you by Prairie Panels. Check them out at prairiepanels.ca. They can help you construct hockey lanes in your house or shop. They can help you construct your shop or buildings, you name it, they can do it. Check them out at prairiepanels.ca. So number one, we always do it on Wednesdays. I call it Open Lines. It hasn't changed from hour 1 to hour 2, where I am the Larry King of sports. Hello, Ted and Yonkers. Hello. Because it is slow, yeah, MLB is really number one. For those that are in Canada, where I spend my summers, Canadian Football League is right up there, which is kind of in my point one here. Really not a lot going on in the NFL other than the announcers being laid off at ESPN. And we did talk a lot about that in hour 1. And actually, I guess without answering my question I put to the viewers, are you interested in this? Or is it just the media that I see that are, because that's who I follow on social media, and I see them talking about it a lot. But to the viewers, yeah, they care. People remember Tom Pelissero. People remember Carl Ravitch. I'm throwing Linda Cohn into that group, which maybe I shouldn't, but I mean, I just think it's odd timing that a week after she announces her retirement from ESPN, she starts a podcast. I get it. She's like, I was saying I was having lunch with my mom's best friend a couple of weeks ago. My mom passed, but her best friend's still alive. And she's like, you're going to be working like your mom until you're in the grave. You're right. My dad worked in the NHL till he was 76 years old because we like it. One of the other things, and I guess it's somewhat sports related, is this. It was my final point, actually, of the Quick Six show topics. You know, what are you watching now on streaming? Because there isn't a ton of sports on television, let's be honest with you. And Silver State sports aside, because all of the programming here is quality, a lot of the other most of the other TV channels are just killing themselves right now. I flip through the channels at night. There are very few things I want to watch. America's Got Talent, love it. Forensic Files, addicted. And the Blue Jays are terrible, which I'm getting to. Every time I have a night off to watch the Blue Jays, they suck. So I started watching the Hulk Hogan documentary as I land the plane here. Watched 2 episodes of it last night. I was spellbound. I think we all kind of like being brought back into our youth, if our youth was happy. And mine was. My mind went somewhere. You can see my mind just went somewhere. I'm thinking about the Hulk Hogan documentary last night and the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. And all their stories of how they got into wrestling and all of that. I'm still on point 1, by the way, the big story. Just so you know, open lines. But I could talk about this forever. And I was hosting a sports trip. I would like to get back to doing that. First, we need to sell out the cruise. Before we plan a sports trip. And maybe you can do both. But join CFL legends Adam Big Hill, Willie Jefferson, and Jake Seresna on the CFL Players Association Fan of a Lifetime with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Prices starting at $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe. It's Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. Anyways, I was hosting this. I took that trip of 60 to 100 viewers, depending on the year, all over Sunbelt states for sporting trips. And one of those trips was in Tampa. When we went to Hulk Hogan's bar, appropriately named Hogan's Beach Bar, managed, it's not open anymore, you can't go there anymore, but managed by the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. And I could sit and talk about that all day, but it's just, you talk about friendships, and you see it in the documentary, how those two got to be friends, stayed friends. Hulk, I'm going to tell you right now, That was the greatest bar I've ever been in. And as a recovering alcoholic, I've been in a lot. What it was, for you people that understand originally, that know the Western Canada, it was Craven Country Jamboree, somewhat under a roof. Imagine volleyball courts, like beach volleyball courts, a pool, a housed building of memorabilia, all Hulk's belts, his boots, his gear, trunks. I don't know how big that thing was. It had 2 acres? Like, I'm from the farm. I know how big an acre it is. 4 city lots. 2 acres, 3 acres, the size of this bar. And the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart managed it for Hulk. This tells that this was 2013. But I remember just standing there beside a cop at the door, and I just said, "Why are you here? Is there a problem?" And he goes, "Nah, it just saves time. They're going to call me at some point anyways, so I might as well just..." Okay. Hogan's Beach Bar. I'll end the story with this. It's supposed to be a sports talk show, but... By the way, Scott Belford joining us next from the Walk Off podcast. He's a stand-up comic. I was hosting this thing, so I was trying somewhat to be on my best behavior. This was pre-recovery. And so we were there on the Friday. I did a live show like this there. It was so great. Went back on the Monday after having heard the stories all weekend from the people that were on my trip. They were up to no good, these people that came on my trip. So I pulled Jimmy Hart aside. And I said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Mouth of the South." And he's like, "For what?" I said, "Just the way that my people acted here on Friday night. That's not the way that we are." And he goes, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, I heard stories of people peeing in the bushes and jumping on the bouncers' backs and passing out and leaving in a wheelchair. And that's not us. It's not how we roll. And he goes, "You folks were tipping $100 a round. You can come back anytime." Okay, game on. And away went again. Point 2, TBJ, Toronto Blue Jays. Kevin Gausman hopes that wasn't his final time pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays at Rogers Centre. Gausman pitched 3 1/3 Tuesday night, allowing 5 runs on 9 hits and 2 walks as Toronto fell to the Tampa Bay Rays 12-2. Gausman's number will come up twice more in the Blue Jays rotation before MLB's trade deadline on August 3rd, with his next start likely coming in Boston on July 26th. So the reason that we've got Scott Belford coming up today for the Walk Off podcast is to talk about not only what the Blue Jays may or may not do at the trade deadline, but all the other teams. I mean, I'm a busy guy, believe it or not, and I'm broadcasting my own NCAA baseball all summer. So I haven't watched a lot of Blue Jays games, but when I do, I see what everybody's talking about. They are B-A-D bad. So the season's over. They're going to be sellers. Why did I ever think they were going to be buyers? And was last year for them going to the World Series Game 7 a blip? Or is this year a blip? That and all the other division races we'll get into with Scott Belford next. We did our picks yesterday in the Canadian Football League, but I will tell you, because it's Wednesday, our poll in the summer is always Wednesdays. What's Canada's game of the week in the CFL? And running away with it is Thursday's game, Edmonton at Saskatchewan. We spent pretty much all of hour one on that. It's bigger than the game. One of the Rough Riders players was involved in a tragic, fatal car crash on Saturday night, killed the driver of the other car. The question is, how will that affect the team? How will they honor these people or acknowledge them at the game? It's not good, but for obvious reasons, it's the game of the week. Not to mention, Edmonton and Sask have the 2 best records in the division. So, yeah. But the other games, I guess they got to play the other games. Friday, Calgary at Winnipeg in a rematch of the 2001 Grey Cup. Saturday, the Brayley Bowl, Toronto at BC in a rematch of the 2004 Grey Cup. And Sunday, Hamilton at Montreal. I can tell you, last I checked, 0% of the voting on that. Point 3, Jason Robertson and the Dallas Stars will avoid a salary arbitration hearing after the high-scoring forward signed a $12 million contract for next season. The Stars announced the deal Tuesday night, a day before Robertson's 27th birthday and 2.5 weeks after he had filed for arbitration. Stars general manager said, quote, Jim Neal said, quote, Jason has been a cornerstone of our franchise since he was drafted in 2017. A dynamic and skilled player, he has been one of the league's top offensive threats since making his NHL debut. 490 points in 456 games. Could become an unrestricted free agent next summer. His $12 million salary just for this year will match teammate Mikko Rantanen for the highest on the Dallas Stars. That's the NHL news coming out of Tuesday. It was probably 4, 5, 6 years ago. They talked about the money in the NHL being stupid. And the wages, even for star players, have doubled and in some cases tripled since then. What are you calling it now? And if that's what you're calling hockey wages, what are you calling basketball wages? And MLB, for that matter. Vladdy making $37.5 million per year and hasn't hit a home run at home yet. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He says, an acre is 4 city block. No, 4 city lots. Look it up. 4 city lots is an acre. I'm a member of 4-H, okay? Head, heart, health, hands, 4-H. Trust me on this. I got it. 4 city lots is an acre. Jason and Red Deer says, Pavel Dorofeyev signed in New York. That will be huge for the Rangers. That was the draft day trade, yes. The Golden Knights leading goal scorer going to New York. Oh, 111. Thank you for those that are observing. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing it now? I talked about this last hour. In life, just vision where you want to be, make it a positive place in the future, and then live there, and then wait for everybody to catch up. They're just finally catching up to me from years ago. It's been a lonely, long wait, but at least now we're here. The sun does come up. Scott in Vancouver. Please don't ruin this, everybody. Jason and Red Deer says, but aren't city lots different sizes? Standard city lots is what you take an acre, split it into 4. Okay? Don't ruin it. Eric in Virginia writes in. He says, can you please ask Scott Belford if the Nationals are buying or selling? Blue Jays have totally fallen off the cliff. Right? And to say that none of us saw it coming, On the Hulk Hogan documentary, that same Eric says, the Hulkster is polarizing, no doubt. But we're all fallen people. Heck of a wrestler / entertainer, no doubt. I'm thrilled and I'm very eager to watch the last 2 episodes of the Hulk Hogan documentary. But it's interesting when you say that it makes him look good. As a dyed-in-the-wool Dallas Cowboys fan, I did not like the Cowboys documentary, The Gambler and America's Team, or whatever the one was called on Jerry Jones, which was commissioned by Jerry Jones. They made Jerry look really good in it. But guess what? If he's paying for it, maybe they're not going to make him look bad. And in the case of Hulk Hogan, I brought it up, so that's on me. But you're going to remember people the way you choose to remember them. Period. I look at Hall of Famers and things that have come out in a variety of sports about them posthumously. And they're largely being left in the Hall of Fame now. It's a debate that I'm not interested in getting into today. Interesting. Jason says, apparently Hulk Hogan's death was because of a botched surgery. Well, maybe that's coming in the documentary. I'm not sure. I will say this, though. Had obviously a fun life, not as troubled as of a life as Andre the Giant. But with his eyes, I guess that's what happens when you put that type of substance in your body for as long as he did. He didn't look good near the end, that's for sure. Jason says, I know, Rod, what you mean now. Back in the day, the city lots were comprised of 1 acre divided into 4. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. Scott Belford coming up next from the Walk Off podcast, and a stand-up comic as well. 902-518-3033. John in Edmonton writes in. He says, Rod, I know you're in the U.S. hour, but do you think the Edmonton Elks can beat the Rough Riders tomorrow? Why would you ask if you know that I'm in the U.S. hour? Nice try, though. 902-518-3033 is the text line. It's brought to you by Western Dodge, the go-to for Ram, trucks, and Jeep adventures. You guessed it, Western Dodge. Stop in today. It looks like we'll be doing a live show there on Friday. We'll have NFL, CFL alum Scott Schultz with us. That's going to be big fun. And Mike Davis from the Vegas Nighthawks as well. I just chatted with him this morning. We'll be back in a moment. It's the RP Show on Silver State Sports, Game Plus streaming, podcast, and WQVZ radio. We will be right back after this brief pause.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Our guest segment is brought to you by Prairie Panels. Are you building a shop, a barn, a rink, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Visit prairiepanels.ca to find out how you can. All right, Scott Belford is here, the Walk-Off Podcast, stand-up comic, which I'm just as excited to chat with you about, Scott, all the time. Where are you joining us from today, good sir?
Oh, I am in Halifax right now, so it's kind of been an East Coast summer here for me, but you know, it is a great place to be in the summer, is the Maritimes, Rod. I don't know if you've been out this way, but it is a pretty beautiful little area.
I'm hang snow, brother. I've been everywhere, but I have friends that are in Halifax this week and all over the Maritimes. Where would you tell them they need to go?
Well, I mean, this is self-serving. I would say that they should go to Halifax Live, the comedy club there, where I'm playing this weekend. But I mean, if they haven't been to Halifax and they need to see Peggy's Cove, truly one of the cooler touristy sites you can go to there. Stay off the Black Rocks, but yeah, fun little lighthouse to check out.
Yes, and I always say the Citadel. The Citadel is really cool. And
Absolutely.
And the tombs of the people that were on the Titanic is pretty spooky too. But again, I've been everywhere, man. All right, Scott, we're going to get to all the other divisional races because there's some I shouldn't laugh. I'm not laughing. Depressed Blue Jays fans out there. Like, yeah. What are they going to do in advance of the August 3rd MLB trade deadline, do you think?
Well, I mean, Rod, last time we talked, I was full of hope. They went 19-12 in their last 30-some games. They'd pulled themselves up from 6 games below 500 to the 500 mark and was looking like they were actually kind of finding themselves. And since then, it has been a complete faceplant. The sky is falling, and I can't see a world where they don't sell every expiring contract on this team, and maybe even deeper than that. So I think that this is a sell year.
Okay, so I guess the bigger question is, how did this happen? Like, we got people that say last year's World Series run was a blip, and there are those that are saying this year's a blip.
Well, I think it's somewhere in between that. The truth is, with baseball, it's pretty hard to fluke into 162 games plus 18 games in the playoffs. I don't think it was a blip. However, the team chemistry definitely sort of diminished throughout this losing streak. It's not a streak. It's been a really bad season. I think it was compounded by the fact that they had so many injuries off the top of the year. They went in thinking that they had some real depth in the starting rotation, and that wound up whittling away to almost nothing. The offense has been one of the most lifeless offenses I can remember, and 2024 was bad, and this team is worse to watch than that year. I think that there's a lot of pressure on Vladdy, and as he continues to struggle, he makes it worse. It's almost like quicksand, right? He's just kind of almost at the point where we need this season to end, and he needs a full reset and going into 2027. George Springer was the offensive engine of this team in 2025. He's been non-existent, 36 years old, final year of his contract. He might be ready to just ride off into the sunset at this point. And then you look at their bullpen, and despite some really good showings from Tyler Rogers, Louis Varland, who might even win reliever of the year for the American League this season, they've had some rough goes and given up some games that they should not have given up. So all in all, to answer your question, what went wrong? It was a real team effort to blow this one. And where they go from here, I think they just need to retool.
Yeah, and it also blew a great season for Dylan Cease as well. But I don't know. Enough of the negativity. I don't know if it's any more positive with the A's. I'm loving everybody in Vegas is getting excited about the A's coming there. The ballpark's being constructed. That's all very exciting. But when you look at the A's record, they're at Arizona today in a matinee. 43 wins, only though fourth in the AL West. I know you're keeping an eye on everybody. What's the outlook, would you say, for the A's?
pretty bleak at this point. It's funny, Rod. We talked 3 weeks ago, and it is wild how much has changed. Last time we talked, the A's were 2 games under 500 and still really competitive in that AL West. And since then, they went on, I think it was a 12-game losing streak. They pretty much buried themselves and are out of the picture at this point. Kind of got to look forward to 2027 for them. There is talk that they could be in the sell realm of some guys that have some real value, like their catcher, Langelier. He would garner quite a pretty penny on the open market. So the A's are sellers. I think the Jays are sellers. This is what's really interesting about baseball these days, Rod, is with so many more teams making the playoffs, the amount of sellers at the deadline has really dwindled down to almost nothing. So it is definitely a seller's market, and it is going to be expensive as a contending team to bolster their rosters.
I feel like that's the way it is in every league. And by the way, Darren's watching in Utah. He says Vegas will spike in interest, but they need to win to keep interest. That was fortunate for the Mammoth in Utah. Scott says the Las Vegas Athletics. Yes, they're all talking about it, and they want a winner. Get in line. Everybody wants a winner. So you say that it's going to be expensive. Who are the teams that are buying in your mind?
I mean, I think, interestingly enough, the Dodgers would normally be top of the list. I don't see an area of need, which really kills me as a Jays fan after getting handed that loss in the World Series, that I can't point to something on the Dodgers and be like, they need this. They look pretty looked after. They may bolster around the edges, but the Dodgers, for the first time in a long time, may sit this trade deadline out. I think the Brewers will add. I think the Braves will add pretty substantially. The Yankees have some areas of need. The White Sox, who are leading the AL West right now, talk about a turnaround from 2025 for them. Their young players just really kind of came together here. I think the White Sox could be buyers. And the Red Sox, who are currently on a 14-game winning streak and have played themselves right back into the playoff picture in a pretty weak American League, will definitely be buyers at the deadline.
Well, we've still got half a season to go. I'll say this. I think you know that I live in Miami or near Miami 9 months out of the year. When I left, we had the World Cup. We were coming off the World Cup. Everybody was excited. Marlins got off to a great start, and people are like, oh, we got a ball club here. Now they suck, and the place is empty again. And my point is, I feel like it's been a real roller coaster for almost every team except the Dodgers, which you knew they're going to be great. But for everybody else, hasn't been a lot of consistency. So I guess anything can happen. I mean, the Jays raising the white flags. We know that. But are there any teams? I think I read the other day, 2/3 of teams are within contention of a wild card spot. That's truly exciting. Yeah.
It is. It is very exciting for all of these middle-of-the-road teams. Maybe that's the wrong way to frame it. Not middle-of-the-road teams, these middle markets. Maybe not the big markets. The Marlins still look really good, in all honesty. They're 2 games above 500. Their young core has really come together. Even teams like, heck, the Cardinals and the Nationals are not out of this thing either. The Nationals have been... The offense led by James Wood has been incredible. They are literally the best offensive team in Major League Baseball. That's not hyperbole, Rod. That is just how good this Washington Nationals offense has been. Now, their bullpen has been we don't need to put in the explicits, but it has been pretty ugly. They lead the league in blowing saves, and it is just a bit of a tire fire in the bullpen. So if there are some surprises for buyers, I think the Nationals might be them. And I think that they could very well go in big on some of the high leverage relievers available. Maybe even a Jeff Hoffman with the Toronto Blue Jays could be a target.
By the way, Eric in Virginia, you're reading my mail, Scott. He said, way back, he said, can you ask Scott if the Nats are going to be buying or selling. So you got
Ooh.
to it first. And Eric also says he's a new viewer this week. He's like, thank you, Rod and gang, for welcoming me. Well, that's what we do here. We don't yell and scream and fight. Unlike a lot of shows, it's very inclusive, and that speaks, I think, a lot to the popularity of the program, and I'm also very proud of that. I guess, when we spoke, you've referenced it a couple times. We were leading up to the All-Star game, and you said you weren't that excited. Coming out of it, 3-0 American League won it. Jordan Walker, the Cardinals, won the home run derby. First ever Cardinal to win it. I mean, I'm all over it, and I always have been. But that's just me. I understand it's not for everybody. What was your takeaway from it?
I loved the home run derby. I thought that the new format worked incredibly well. It was so exciting to watch Kyle Schwarber, Philly favorite, obviously, in Philly, put up the sort of home runs that he put up, and then to watch that come from behind victory by Jordan Walker, very, very exciting. I thought the home run derby was more exciting to watch than the actual All-Star game itself. The All-Star game was fine. Some really great pitching performances. I mean, there was the Ernie Clement defensive play, which might have been the most exciting play of the game, and I don't know. All-Star games are All-Star games. It's a great place to catch the best players in the world doing what they do. Is there a lot of intensity and excitement? Not always. But the home run derby more than made up for it, in my opinion.
Well, it was a 3-0 game, the All-Star game. So if you like defensive baseball, which I really do, especially when I'm broadcasting, it means I get to go home early. But as far as an All-Star game, I think we like offense. I think we like runs. And in the home run derby, I love the spectacle of it. I love that Will Ferrell was there and Michael Buffer and all the stuff that they did. I mean, they really made it. I thought it was great, like you. So I'm glad. Well, I knew that you were going to be watching.
It was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Can we just make it fun? That's all we ask. And speaking of that, John in Edmonton, I do like to accommodate our viewers as much as possible. He wants to know your thoughts on Vancouver getting a Major League Baseball expansion team.
I think that... So let's start with this. Vancouver is an incredible baseball market. If anyone out there hasn't been to Nationals Field, it is incredible. It's beautiful. And they pack that place every single game. I know that whenever we've got prospects from the Jays come on the show, they constantly talk up how they truly feel like for the first time they're playing quote-unquote professional ball when they hit Vancouver, because especially normally when you're in high A, you're getting 1,000, 2,000 fans out, and they're packing 7,500 in there literally on Tuesday nights. That said, they've got a long ways to go to be a true contender for a new franchise in Vancouver. Now, I think that they do need a West Coast team, so they're not completely out of the running. However, they need a park. They need an ownership group that's pushing it forward. There's a lot of question marks around Vancouver as a viable market right now. That said, I would love it. I think it would be great.
I'm sorry you saw me laughing here because viewer Jason wrote in and said, can you ask Scott's thoughts on Toronto getting a Major League Baseball league team one day?
Touche. Boy, that would be fun.
Yeah.
They even have the facilities for it.
That's pretty good. Well, listen, you're out in Calgary at most days, like Okotoks. Have you been to the ballpark in Okotoks? 7,500? They sell that thing out every game. It's ridiculous.
Bring a team to Calgary. That's what I say. Let's get real wild, Rod.
Okotoks is Calgary's team. Have you not realized that yet? Anyways, and for everyone that don't know, they're in the league that I'm in every summer, the Western Canadian Baseball League, and it's so much fun. Oh my God, going to that ballpark, 7,500. It's as good as there is outside the majors on the continent. Okay, to what I really love talking to you about is stand-up comedy. So you don't have a set till this weekend, or what's your schedule out there in Halifax?
Yeah, I don't have any shows until Friday here, but that's not a bad thing. I podcast so much that gives me time during the day, during the week to follow and report on a very bad baseball team, Rod. Where would I be without it?
Yeah, well, and it gives you some material if you want, because they have been a joke. But I asked you last time if you always open up with the same joke every time you take the stage, and you said no, so would you mind? I'm not asking you to be the magician and give me your secrets. I'm not asking that. But I'm just saying how much of it is off the cuff versus your regular routine when you grab the microphone.
So I would say that almost 100% of comics, 99.9%, not to take away the magic trick for everyone, but we have our act, and then there is stuff that happens throughout the jokes off the top, so on and so forth, that make it a different show every time. So if you come and see me in 45 minutes, yeah, 30 to 35 minutes is probably going to be pretty similar every time, but it's the stuff on the peripheral that happens that makes the experience unique and changes the show every time. And, you know, when you go to a different city or community every single show, there's a lot of just like paying attention to what's around you. When you walk into the room, is there something weird? Are there some people acting funny that you can kind of talk to and see what's going on? Can you pull something from the staff? You know, like there's a lot of stuff that does change the show, but yeah, for the most part, I would say 75% of the act is going to be the same.
What is the number one key ingredient? I know there's more than one, but the number one key ingredient to be a successful stand-up comic over time?
Personally, I think it's learning to be genuine on stage. Can you actually get people to relate to what you're saying? Is there a way for you to connect with the people that are in that room right there? Can you be present? Right? Like it's tough to get on stage, and a lot of times, like as someone who's been on stage thousands of times at this point, and you do anything thousands of times, and Rod, I'm sure you can touch on this too, is you become far more comfortable and far more yourself. So when you're first starting as a stand-up, I would say the first 5 to 10 years are literally just getting comfortable enough, being in a group of people and being the focal point where you can truly let your genuine self shine. And a lot of comics just don't last long enough to hit that level. So that if I was to pick one thing, it's just being genuine.
We're down to about 3 minutes left. How do you deal with hecklers?
See, I love that question, and it's funny how different that question can be taken because there's a lot of different hecklers. And for the most part, 95% of hecklers are people who are just genuinely excited they're at the show. Maybe they've had a few extra drinks and they are not trying to actually disrupt you. So you kind of need to be able to judge who's being an a-hole and who is literally just thinking they're helping, and then you can kind of tamper that down, maybe get a big laugh off, poking some fun, and then move along. Or even straight up be like, listen, I know you're having a good time, but people paid good money to be here. And then there's the jerks who 5% of the time they've probably had too much to drink too, but now they're just trying to disrupt, or they think that they're being funny and they're disrupting. And with those people, I'm a little less patient and kind of lay the hammer down a little bit more. You know, I've been in situations many times where you need to come out on top of the situation. So I'm well experienced in that. And sometimes a drunk heckler thinks they'll get one up on me, but they don't.
I wouldn't even try. We have 45 seconds with you. What's your favorite venue you've ever done and you'd like to go back and do again?
Ooh, that is a really good question. I mean, there are so many amazing venues throughout the country, but I think my favorite is I played this place in Pictou County, Nova Scotia, on the dock with all the crowd behind the dock, and then the background was just a beautiful lake, and that probably tops for just, you know, atmosphere and being outside and stuff like that. So shout out to Uncle Leo's Brewery in Pictou, yeah.
I love it. I said I thought it was Pictou, and they said to me, it's Pictou. Gotcha. Scott, thank you. Be funny.
Thank you, Rod. Take care.
All right. No money, no funny. We'll be coming right back with the RP Show Sports Update and Viewer Takeover right after this.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show on Silver State Sports, Game Plus streaming, WQVZ. For the radio audience, I love them, but you miss a lot when you're just listening. And I get that. Like, people see my eyes darting around. A few things. If you watch the show every day, you know that I'm in this wonderful sports facility. I don't know exact athletic center, academy, all kinds of things going on. And in the summertime, there's these young teenage hockey players that are here working out over really on the other side of that black curtain. And now they've taken to coming right. There's a big glass wall right here. So now they all stop and they're all waving and pounding on the glass. I'm like, one of these days I got to get them here on the camera. It's become a thing. Every day there's more of them and they stop for longer. And the problem is they see that it's not bothering me. So they come even more. So that's what we'll do. By the end of the summer, I'll see if I can get them on the screen here. Oh, and then the other thing is, yeah, this is episode number 1782 of the RP Show. So we've been going for a long time, season 8. And our viewers have been with us a lot since day one. And they know my story. I know in their case a lot of their story. Point being, July 22nd, that's today. Today marks the 4-year anniversary of Matthew Tkachuk being traded from the Calgary Flames to the Florida Panthers. And I'm sitting here as an NHL fan, guy, pundit, observing that, but then remembering over the years, seeing how this trade has played out. I was in Calgary, living in Calgary when that happened, July 22nd, 2022, filling up with gas at a Shell. by Cross Iron Mills, and when I heard it, and just to see how the two franchises have gone since. I'm just saying today's the day for all that observe the anniversary. And every year we talk about, is this the biggest lopsided trade in NHL history? And it largely is. But then number two, people know that I've been in recovery 11 years, free of alcohol. And so Jeff, the Stamps fan, knows that. He writes in regarding the comment there from Scott Belford, the stand-up comic, and he says, Rod, do you believe we let out true colors? Do we let our true colors show when we are drunk? I will say in some cases. In some case. I know that's the common notion for everybody, that it's truth serum. But in my case, I became a different person when I drank, especially to excess. So I wouldn't say that for me. And that's why I've spent 11 years proving that wasn't me. But for others, I think that is the case for others, but it just wasn't for me. Fair? Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, Kachuk and a 4th-round pick for Huberdeau, Weegar, Schwint, and a first. Yep. Thank you for the memory on that, but it's so by far and away a win for the Florida Panthers. It's franchise changing, and I'm going back and forth with Panthers fans today. That Kelly I mentioned, she said, that started it. That started it. This run that they've been on. And if you go and look, we talked about this last week? FanDuel has the Florida Panthers ranked as the number 1 Stanley Cup favorite going into the season, the Florida Panthers. I mean, I knew they were going to be good. Would I have them rated number 1? I'm not sure. I feel like I'm going to start the sports update and then roll it over into the next segment. If you have any thoughts on what you're watching now on streaming, let's be honest. It is fun watching streaming in the summertime, you know. Nobody watches CBC anymore. It used to be fun to watch those CBC summer movies. You know what I'm talking about, producer Corey, but nobody watches CBC anymore. Shoot, they even got rid of Hockey Night in Canada. Now we watch Netflix. It is what it is. And I started watching the Hulk Hogan series last night, and Linda Hogan. Thank you to those who straightened me out on what her name was. I was so mesmerized by what she was saying last night, I forgot her name. Oh, my God. Well, you know what I'm talking about? When she said the first time that her and Hulk went home together. I wasn't ready for that. Wayne in BC writes in, he says, it's not dog days of summer for me, Rod, but of course I'm a CFL football fan. Not many other sports are playing right now, right? CFL should be front and center. And speaking of, I've been enjoying a lot of my friends are NFL and CFL alum. That includes tomorrow's guest, Jorgen Hoos is going to be with us, St. Louis Rams alum, and the longest serving Rough Rider when he retired. He'll be with us tomorrow in the guest spot of Hour 2. Friday, NFL, Pittsburgh Steelers, San Diego Charger alum, and Rough Riders Hall of Famer Scott Schultz is going to be with us. So we got some big football shows coming up. It hasn't changed. We do a lot of football as the week goes along. Overtime is next on the RP Show.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Welcome back for Overtime for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Yeah, you're itching for hockey. Well, you can do it every day. $20 an hour lane time. And if you book online at overtimehl.ca, you'll get free tickets to a Calgary Stampeders game in the CFL. Overtimehl.ca. Stop in and tell the RP show sent you. And say hey to Randy and Michelle. 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Wilf writes in from Steinbach, Manitoba. I feel like we could talk Blue Jays baseball here every day, but we're not going to. Wilf goes, do the Blue Jays miss Mattingly? Don Mattingly was there on the World Series one last year. He's with the Phillies now, right? They're not doing much better. 13 more wins, second place in the NL East. I think everything's on the table, Will, up for discussion. But again, the team that he went to is not lighting it on fire either. Kirk in Toronto says the Bluebirds are unwatchable. Oh, and I won't miss John Schneider's constant spitting a lake of goo every time he's shown in the dugout if he's fired. On the drinking thing, Scott Belford brought it up. The comedian who was with us here earlier, David number 2, says, good morning, Rod, because we're live in the mornings here, prime time in Vegas at night. He says, some say drinking helps release your inhibitions. I think it clouds your common sense and causes you to make some bad decisions. Well, either way, I'm glad I don't do it anymore. How about that? I read a meme the other day that said the most painful words in the English language are I should have. All I say is I should have quit earlier. But you know what? Some people never do. For those tuning in about what they're watching on streaming, Eric in Virginia says, the wife and I watch Homestead Rescue. That sounds good. Maybe I'll try that. Jason in Red Deer says the only things I've been watching are The Hawk, Season 3 of Quarterback, and, of course, Dateline. I really love Dateline. But Forensic Files works for me. Snack-size Dateline. They used a new technology called DNA, or a genetic fingerprint for short. Sports update. 39 million people watched the World Cup final on Fox, making it the most watched soccer telecast in American history. This is kazoo worthy. Nearly 24 million more watched on Peacock and Telemundo, bringing the total U.S. viewership to almost 63 million, more than every NFL game last season except the Super Bowl. I'm just passing it along. Did you see the NFL did more in revenue last year than the NHL, NBA, and MLB combined? I saw that this morning. There's money out there. There's money out there. The leagues are getting it all, is my deduction. It's been more than 3 weeks since LeBron James told the Lakers that his 24th NBA season will take place elsewhere, but his decision may not be as imminent as some believed. We're not going to be rushed, says agent Rich Paul. Give me things I don't care about for 100, please, Alex. Carl Ravitch, one of ESPN's most recognizable anchors, who's been with the network since 1993, was laid off on Tuesday as part of the company's latest cuts. NFL insider Tom Pelissero was also among the prominent names let go from NFL Network, acquired by ESPN earlier this year. I just saw a tweet in a break today from Tom Pelissero thanking all the viewers and fans and his family for standing by him and supporting him, chasing this career forever. I'll tell you this. Once I got out of that play-by-play gig for the Riders, and consider this for a second, my first full-time was when I was 20. I left that job at 46. At the very first Thanksgiving dinner, sitting there with my family, which included my children, my mom, not my dad, brothers, nieces, and nephews, they all looked down the end of the table like, what are you doing here? When Aaron Andrews said a couple of years ago, the toll that it takes and the family time you miss, and she just got lambasted for that. She wasn't wrong. People are saying, you made a choice. Doesn't make it easy. So maybe Tom Pelissero will be around his family more. I don't know. My family was just so not used to even seeing me at family events because I was always working. Those guys and gals that do the World Juniors haven't had a Christmas in 20 years. I'm just saying. That's what Pelissero said today, thanking his family. From basketball, Warriors forward Yaxel Landeborg was named Summer League MVP and headlined the All-Summer League first team. Fernando Tatis blasted a 474-foot moonshot in the Padres' 8-3 win over the Braves. The longest home run hit by any player this season. Tatis is heating up, hitting 3 home runs in his last 4 games after hitting just 5 in his first 96. The sports update is for the Ultimate Fan Zone. Raiders, Riders, Blue Jays, NFL, NHL, you name it, they've got it. I got mine there. Rep your team loud and proud with the Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store. Shop now at ultimatefanzone.ca. Don't get any ideas, Producer Corey, about what, using AI to translating this show to Spanish? Caliente. Right. Uno más, por favor, señor. Mi esposo e dinero. God bless them, all writing in with a CFL talk. Utah Darren says, Rod knows Spanish from Dora the Explorer. That's a true story. Señor, your español es mucho bueno. I'm going to thank Dora the Explorer. I always knew when my kid went to bed one night, she's like, see you mañana, Dad. Dora the Explorer, educating kids all around the world, and we didn't even know it. Jorgen Hus tomorrow, NFL, CFL alum of the Rams and Riders, and Kevin the Medium. It's going to be big fun. Thanks for tuning in today, putting up with us. Scott Belford, producer Corey, and we'll do it all again tomorrow on this variety of networks here on the RP Show.
That.